York County is so much more than just a stop for gas along I-80. 17 County is filled with unique individuals with unique stories, just wanting to be told.
Welcome to another episode of 17 County Podcast, where we spotlight the people, projects, and progress powering growth across our region. From business expansion to community revitalization, we bring you behind the scenes of what's shaping our future. We're proud to recognize the organizations that make this podcast possible. A special thank you to the dedicated stakeholders investing in local impact. Central Valley Ag, Klute Incorporated, Overland Ready Mix, Collins Aerospace, Meade Lumber Company, and Perennial Public Power District. We're also grateful for the continued support of our financial stakeholders, Henderson State Bank, Midwest Bank, and York State Bank, who help drive business sustainability across the county. Empowering innovation and reliability behind the scenes, we recognize K-Junction, OPPD, and Nebraska Public Power District. Your support fuels the stories we share and the future we're building together. Now, let's get into today's episode. Some recruiters find you a job. Kiley Palmertree helps you find your place. Today, we're talking with Kiley Palmertree, recruiting manager at Klute Inc., one of the nation's leading substation steel fabricators. Kiley brings over 18 years of experience in relationship management, from education to banking, and now uses her gift for connection to attract top-tier talent and align them with Klute's long-term vision. She's known for her optimism, kindness, and the way she makes candidates feel like part of the family from the very first conversation. In this episode, we'll explore her recruiting philosophy, her community outreach work, and how she's helping Klute meet industry demands while building a strong, people-first culture. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to learn more about you, your career path, and then Klute, all the things.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This is such a fun opportunity to be a part of.
Absolutely. You've had a really interesting background, education, banking, recruiting. How did each of these roles shape your approach to hiring?
Yeah, so I started out in banking. I actually did it in college, and then it just transferred into a more long-term position. And I feel like the consistency that comes with banking kind of set a solid foundation for me. And then the cool thing about the education piece is I was able to actually look at the students and look at their overall potential as they were working, maybe towards a certain skill set. And as you've probably heard a lot in the media, the trend is that we are going more towards skill-based hiring. Mm-hmm. So when we look at those educational opportunities and kids are going to more of the trade schools, I feel like that piece just kind of tied it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's kind of interesting looking, once again, banking, education, those actually do tie to what you do. It's so crazy. What drew you to Klute?
Well, I was sort of starting to feel like I wanted to do something that aligned more with my background. My bachelor's degree is in business marketing, and I've always had a passion for working with people, which is why I think banking and education were both great stepping stones for me. But I loved that Klute was family owned and operated. I loved that they had a very warm and inviting environment to be a part of. So that was awesome. They love to have fun. Those were all things I was looking for. And it's a super clean shop, so very impressive.
Is. Absolutely, especially for steel manufacturing and fabrication. It's not common.
Yeah.
You're very obviously passionate about that really people-centered approach. What do you think drove that passion?
I grew up in a small town, and I have a large family. So I kind of feel like those values were just instilled at a young age, that you just care about people and you invest in those relationships. Mm-hmm. So when I think back, I really think it started at a very young age, and then that just became part of who I am.
Absolutely. And that can... Well, it does very obviously help you with your role right now, because you work with a lot of variety when it comes to people.
Yes. Yeah. It's a very big array of candidates that we look through on a day-to-day basis. So sometimes you have to wear different hats. You kind of have to change your approach, because it could be anyone from a very skilled engineer to somebody who's just right out of college. This is their first job. It's just fun, though, getting to hear everyone's story and how they got to that point. So,
absolutely. You've had, once again, quite the career. What advice would you give yourself if you're looking back at, the banking days, very, very first professional job?
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself today?
So I thought about this question a little bit because you kind of have to go back and think about all of the different things that you've done. I feel like if you just do what's right and lean into honesty and transparency, it builds credibility, encourages accountability, and delivers outcomes. It's super simple, but it gives you a really good foundation. And I think people just want to know the truth. So, if you just do what's right and stay transparent, I feel like the rest just kind of flows organically.
Absolutely. And I know this wasn't on the questions, so bear with me. We're figuring out. When you started your educational journey, so when you were in college, did you see yourself doing what you're doing today, or what was the goal?
I think the goal was just to get that piece of paper.
Yeah, so fair enough.
I don't think I really knew which direction it would take me. And I saw something recently that inspired me. In fact, when I go out to talk to students, sometimes I use this, but it was a roadmap and it showed a windy road. And it basically was just talking about your career path, that you really just don't know where it's going to take you. Some people like the straight and narrow road and they have a plan and it's all defined and mapped out. But for some of us, we kind of just twist and turn. And I think even if we were to look not only behind us but forward, that could still involve some twists and turns. So
absolutely. Yeah. I like how you put that.
Yeah.
That paints a really clear picture too. I really like that. You have really been pretty active within the community, within the college outreach, and it seems like that's a pretty big part of your work. What does that look like when it comes to your day-to-day work?
Yeah, so when I first started at Klute, I felt like they had some good partnerships kind of already established, but as they grew, it was just harder for one person to kind of continue to foster those relationships. So my goal was to identify some of the key people within either the local high schools or the community colleges, and then just get to know, their program, their students, and basically build that relationship so that they knew the opportunities that we had available.
Absolutely. And it's apparent that you have a talent for seeing potential in people. So when you look at, the young talent in the area, what do you see as the biggest opportunity, especially when it comes to manufacturing careers?
I think that if they definitely have a skill set and they want to stay close to home or just see what's available a little closer to home, sometimes I feel like they don't even know all of the opportunities around here. So it's just fun to develop those relationships and maybe just show them another stepping stone. Even if it's not for right now, maybe you just plant the seed, and when they're ready, they know a place that they can come back to.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any students that you've seen kind of go through the system and maybe end up in a job with manufacturing? Specifically, Klute would be awesome.
Yeah. And had I known then, I would have been working on those students at the high school. But it was really cool because we've had two students in particular that were at York High School, and now they are both employees at Klute, which is awesome. I think it's also really cool just to highlight the fact that York does a great job of instilling professionalism with the students. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that they really put it together, because at Klute I go by Kiley, but at the school I was Mrs. Palmertree. Mm. So it was fun when they walked in and they said, "Oh my gosh, Mrs. Palmertree."
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
So I got to tip my hat back to the high school for just instilling those good, manners to the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that there's probably some other organizations that are going to listen to this podcast that are like, oh, we want to have that kind of partnership. What could a partnership look like, and how would they go about setting that up?
Yeah. So we love to show people our work, and we love to have them come out to our business. It really gives us such great joy to have people come into the office and see our work. And it's kind of cool that it's just being done right here in York County. There's never a group that's too big or too small, and we can customize those tours depending on the organization or the department, maybe the education background that the students are coming from. So yeah.
So just reach out and set something up.
Yeah, you can call me anytime, and we can do lunch and learns. I mean, that's always kind of fun. We do breakfast sometimes, just so it's a little more casual setting where, the questions flow a little more naturally than a formal presentation.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Really easy to get in the doors and learn a lot of different things.
Super easy. Yes. And food is the way to our hearts. So we love to all get around the table and break bread together.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Yeah. You're really invested in that relationship-based, role. What's your secret to building that trust?
Well, I thought about this question a little bit too, because I think it's always intimidating to meet new people. Mm-hmm. And regardless of how comfortable we are putting ourselves out there, you still maybe just get a tiny bit nervous. So I try and just embrace everyone with a warm smile, because I feel like if you come across with just a more relaxed and welcoming demeanor, it can kind of loosen, the mood a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a little maybe vulnerable, mm-hmm. and I'm willing to maybe poke fun at myself or tell a joke, because that seems to just release the tension too. So
that's amazing. And that's not easy to do.
Well, my kids would argue that the dad jokes or some of the silly one-liners I have, I don't think they think it's super funny, but I do.
Yeah, hey, that's the only important thing, right?
That's right.
That's amazing. So you probably have a lot of candidates coming in with very clear expectations. Mm-hmm. How do you balance the needs of the company with the needs of the candidate?
So I feel like when we open a position, it's my job to try and see that process through from start to finish and do it in a timely manner. It's better for us. We don't want to have those positions open for a long period of time. And I also feel like I try and be respectful of the candidates who are actively looking for a job. Mm-hmm. They've taken the time to fill out the application. So I think it's only fair to them to, be responsive, communicate well. And in the end, it's a win-win if we can fill the role faster, and if the candidate knows, even if they don't get the position, that way they're not sitting there waiting for a response.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes, once again, to those really strong relationships, do you have a time where that relationship helped you fill a role faster and a little bit more successfully?
I do. So when I first started, we were struggling to find NDTs, non-destructive testing candidates, because it's maybe not a super popular career around here. There's really only a handful of colleges in the Midwest that even offer that degree. So once those candidates graduate, they usually already have an opportunity and they're heading out the door. So we collaborated and came up with an internship opportunity, which is a win for Klute. We gain the exposure of having the student come out to us, but NDTs have to have so many hours of kind of practical experience to go towards the different levels of their certification. So even as an intern, they can gain those hours and they can keep getting different levels within the NDT degree.
Interesting.
Yeah. Huh. So the internship went really well with our candidate, and at the end of it, we were able to offer him a full-time opportunity. He had one semester left before graduation, and so he accepted. But in the meantime, he went back to the college and told his friend, hey, I think they're going to grow the department. So we actually hired the intern and one of his friends.
That's
which
amazing.
was awesome. And since then, we've been able to provide that internship again this summer. And
Wow.
yeah, it's been very fruitful.
Yeah, and that says a lot that not only did he accept it, but he's talking you guys up
Right.
enough that someone else wanted to work there too.
Right.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is fun to see those experiences come full circle.
At Cornerstone Bank, we are committed to providing you the best in banking products and service. With 46 locations throughout Nebraska, we are dedicated to serve you. Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Today's podcast is brought to you by 104.9 Max Country, Cool 103.5, and Bear. Let's get back to the podcast. I guess it doesn't really end after they're hired, that relationship building, or not hired.
Right.
So how do you keep those connections alive when candidates may not be the right fit right now, but you see potential in them?
Yeah. I just feel like it's my responsibility to communicate that with them. And sometimes it's not even just that they're not the right candidate. Sometimes they'll end up saying, maybe this isn't the right time for this opportunity. And we just stay in touch and I can check back in with them later. Or I feel like once we've established, that open communication, I've had a candidate that withdrew an application and said, I have to take care of some things. I'll reapply. And several months later reapplied, and the timing just worked out better. So again, I just think if you're very honest and you're open, it's really easy then to feel good about that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we take a step back and we look at just the recruitment process as a whole, what do you wish more job seekers knew about what that process entails?
Well, having now sat on the other side of the computer, I feel like maybe people don't realize how cumbersome the process is. Some roles will get a lot of applications, and if we're doing our due diligence, we're looking through each application and each resume to look for skill sets and to see if they are the right candidate. I feel like during that process, if you take the time to make sure your application's filled out properly, it's a great time to maybe brag on yourself or really showcase the skill set that you have. You really want to have something that's going to stand out from the other candidates. So,
absolutely. And I was going to actually ask about that. When a candidate's applying, or even if they're coming in for an interview, is there something that they can do to stand out? Is there something that usually really catches your eye?
Yeah, I do love it when a candidate comes in and has done maybe just a tiny bit of homework on who we are. They don't have to be the expert. I mean, we're there to help educate them on what the opportunity is and who we are. But if they've maybe just invested a little time, that leads me to believe that they are really interested in coming to work at Klute.
Absolutely. And that's not hard to do.
No.
Yeah.
The other thing I would also probably say is it is okay to brag on yourself a little bit. I love it when a candidate feels very confident in their responses. I love it when they're able to really talk specifically about their skill set or give me examples of things that they've done or maybe experiences that they've had. So if you can kind of think of those sorts of scenarios so you're prepared when you get there, it's a major win.
Yeah, absolutely. This is supposed to be showcasing you, right?
Right.
Yeah. When you look at just the team, what role do mentorships and collaboration play in building, that strong relationship between your team members?
Yeah. It's funny you asked that because when I started again in banking, I had a mentor that kind of helped me develop my skills there. And I've always said that a mentor is kind of that just trusted partner right from day one, where you have somebody that you can lean into when you don't know where to go, or you're not even sure who to go see. You don't know anybody else's name. It's kind of scary. So I think mentorships are kind of the key to success. I also think mentors for them, it's a nice way for them to gain confidence in being a leader and kind of exposes them to maybe what that would look like if they continue down that pathway. So it feels like a win on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing that you had a great mentor too. I think that really, it's monumental to a career.
I think so too. And as we grow in any industry, it gets harder and harder to know, maybe the specifics of who do I go see for this, or how do I set up an appointment if I have questions on my benefits, or what if I need a new hat? So, you have this trusted partner that you can just lean into for all of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at recruiting, recruiting is an interesting career in itself. If someone's considering going into that career, what should they know before starting?
Well, I feel like they should have a lot of patience in their pocket because for me, it's a little hard some days. It's not a black and white process. So it's not like you can see a task from start to finish and at the end of every day, the process is done. So recruiting can take months. It could take years. Sometimes it can just take a couple of weeks. But, just to, I guess, stay positive and stay optimistic that your work is meaningful, you're still reaching out, you're making an impact. So hopefully they come back around, but sometimes it can take a little while.
Yeah. Lots of patience. Lots and lots of patience.
Yeah.
So I do have to say, I was recently in a leadership program with a lot of people from Klute, which they were all phenomenal people. But one thing that I heard over and over again is how kind and optimistic you are.
Well, that's so sweet.
Yeah, they raved about you. They did. How do you maintain that mindset? Because you do have a really high demand job.
Yes. So I guess I feel like I have to remind myself that sometimes life is full of setbacks. So each day is a new day, and there are probably going to be trials and tribulations along the journey. But I think in those tough moments, we can learn from those experiences and we can grow. And I think if we just take all that into consideration, we can keep moving forward and keep a positive mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And once again, getting off of the list,
that's
but
okay.
How have you seen that, really positive mindset change how your interactions are in the office, and how has that really impacted your role?
I feel like, again, if you're a little vulnerable, I think life is better when everyone's laughing. So,
I love that.
Yeah, when
That's
people
cool.
come in, if they're maybe a little scowly or maybe they're having a bad day, or maybe even I'm having a bad day, I always think, man, if I made their day a little bit better, would the power of positivity just carry forward in the shop? And sometimes I think it works. I mean, it's not, I don't have data to support any of that, but it feels like, just like paying it forward in a coffee line. Yeah, it can really, I just think it can lift everyone's spirits.
That's amazing. I agree.
Thanks.
100%. So what excites you the most when you're looking at the future of Klute and your team?
Well, I think that the Klute family, Jordan, Kim, and Steve, they have such a great vision. I think there's a lot of innovation and growth that they would still like to see happen. So I know my work is not done. I think that there will continue to be a need to fill different roles, and some of them more challenging than others. But yeah, I think it's a really good time to be a part of the Klute team.
Yeah, a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
So before we get to, all of our pieces of encouragement, first of all, what kind of positions are you guys hiring?
So we currently, right now, have welding positions that are open. That will probably be a constant for us. There's just some natural attrition that happens. Sometimes it's an internship that's ending. People move. there's lots of different reasons that they might leave. That one is pretty constant. Machine operators, we are always, trying to invest in more machines to help get more product out the door. So those two are usually pretty popular. If you have a skill set in maintenance, that seems to be a position that we usually have a role here and there for. Drafting and detailing is another popular one. We have formed some partnerships. We have an office in Omaha now, and the partnership with Metro in Omaha, that has been helpful for candidates that maybe want to stay in a bigger metropolitan area. So those are probably our hot hires at the moment.
Okay. And if somebody wants to apply to one of these positions, where would they go?
Yes. So the best way to apply is to go to kluteinc.com/careers, and I get the notification as soon as your application comes in. If you have questions or if you're curious if it went through, you can call anytime and just verify that we got it okay. But yeah, it's a pretty easy process. It just takes a few minutes, but make sure you take the time to fill it out to the best of your ability.
Absolutely. And before, I am going to throw in some fun hot potato questions.
Oh, perfect.
So we gotta keep it exciting. But before we get to that, if you could leave our listeners with one piece of encouragement, what would it be?
So I feel like if you lead with your heart, if you make good choices that feel right, and you trust the journey, good things will happen when your actions match your values. So, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Thanks. Yep. I did think on that one a little bit because I kind of got a little stumped for a moment, but I kept thinking if I just go back to what I know is right and I just trust my heart, it usually all works out how it's supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to get into hot potato. Easy questions.
Perfect.
Hopefully.
I
but
know.
We'll see, right?
I love this.
So, coffee or tea?
Oh, definitely coffee.
Do you have a favorite coffee joint?
I like to support all of them because I want them to all stay here.
Yeah, that is a good answer. Yeah.
And wherever there isn't a line, I'm usually always rushing to get somewhere. So
yeah, I can agree with that 100%. Winter or summer?
Dang. I think summer.
Okay.
Yeah. If you can't tone it, tan it. So everything's
I've never
better in the
that.
summer.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard that. Okay, so now we're going to throw it to spring or fall.
Oh, fall. Don't you just feel like there's something about like the leaves and the smell of a candle?
And it's beautiful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's on our heels. So
yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, that's true. Man,
it's going to be
crazy.
good.
Yeah. Favorite sport?
Dang. Probably whatever one we're in, but
It's fair.
baseball is near and dear to my heart. My boys absolutely love it, and it seems like something fun that they can participate in, but we can also go as a family to watch baseball. So
Yeah. And those are some fun seasons, I've heard.
it's so fun. Yeah.
Sweet or sour?
Sweet.
Sweet or savory?
Oh, dang. I think savory. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all I have. So before we wrap up, let's do one last little plug. If somebody wants to get into contact with you, how would they do so?
Well, you can email me, which, can I give my email?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So my email is Palmertree, just like it sounds, at kluteinc.com. You can call me at 402-356-8207. Or, I'm usually out and about in the community somewhere. So if you ever have questions, I'm an open book. You can stop me and I'll tell you anything I can.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You have a lot of wisdom to share with everybody.
Thanks.
So I really appreciate you
Thanks
being here.
for having me. This was super fun.
That's a wrap on another episode of the 17 County Podcast. As always, thank you for joining us to explore the business leaders, community champions, and transformational efforts shaping our regional economy. A final word of appreciation to our stakeholders: Central Valley Ag, Klute Inc., Overland Ready Mix, Collins Aerospace, Meade Lumber Company, Perennial Public Power District, Henderson State Bank, Midwest Bank, York State Bank, K-Junction, OPPD, and Nebraska Public Power District. Your investment doesn't just support this podcast, it strengthens York County's momentum in innovation, growth, and long-term resilience. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and continue supporting the businesses and partners that make our communities thrive.